Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my! It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Psychic medium Helene Olson and paranormal researcher Patricia Baker. Here are Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting and very spooky episode of Supernatural Girls. I am your host, Patricia Baker, and I am here with psychic medium Helene Olson. Hi, Helene.
Hi, Patricia.
So it is a dark and stormy night here in New England.
It is where I am.
Gee, this is matching our mood for the book that we're going to be talking about with Milo, DuQuette tonight.
How is it in your neck of the woods, Patricia?
It's rainy, but I don't think we have anywhere near the high winds that you have. But it is.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty close to the coast, so there's supposedly a northeaster rolling through here, so we'll see what happens.
We will, but we have an atmosphere here that is going right along with the book we're going to be talking about, which is Horror and the Occult, Spooky Stories, Hidden Truths. And, of course, we have the fabulous Milo, DuQuette, who's going to be joining us in a few minutes. He is the master, so always fun to have Lon on the show. We always have fun with him.
Oh, I just love listening to his voice, Patricia. He is incredibly able to weave a yarn, as they say, and he does it with such an incredible sense of humor. It's so much fun, so it'll be a fun evening.
Yes.
Yeah.
So welcome, everybody, and we are going to also, right this minute, welcome our world-famous numerologist, Patricia Kirkman. Patricia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited about this show tonight.
It's great. It's going to be great. And
coming.
You have some spooky numbers that our wonderful assistant Samantha gave you to look at. So what did you find with these numbers? What numbers do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, first, everyone gets into a panic when they see 666.
Mm-hmm.
It revolves and it becomes a 9, and 9 is what we do for the universe at large and how we help other people. It's no different than if we would have had the 999. Everything reduces back to a 9. So even though people are fearful of it and terrified of it, it has, the bottom line is it's what we do for others and how we work with it. But 9 deals with drama, and it's about the theater as well. So you can see the best of or the worst of coming from the number 9.
Oh, my. So we don't need to be afraid of that.
Pardon me?
No, go ahead. I was
going
to ask, do you know how 666 got twisted into a dark connotation?
I'm not sure where that began, but I can't remember at this moment in time. But it was supposedly the devil.
Yeah.
And
maybe Lon knows the answer.
Well,
we'll have to ask Lon.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. But if you turn the 666 upside down, it's 999.
Yeah, and if you add it up, it's 18, which is 9.
That's right.
And that's a good number.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we also had the number 252, which is also a 9, which you were asking about. But I find it amazing because 9 is the best of and the worst of, because 9 is the drama. It's the ending. It's the completion. And at the same point in time, it is theater. It's always theater.
Mm-hmm.
So a dramatic number, to say the least.
Oh, yeah, very definitely. And 9's when accidents happen. 9's are when mistakes take place, and that's why many times we'll think of the 9 as the worst of times. There's an accident on the street, or the major things going on within the universe. 9 has never been given a friendly boost on the day-to-day things, but when you get into it as what it does for humanity, it's like watching somebody play tug of war. 1 minute you're in the muddle, and the next minute you're out of it.
Wow, so many quick changes here.
Well, I also took a look at Edgar Allan Poe. I found him very fascinating because his destiny is a 2, and that's to be a partner, to be in a relationship, or to be sensitive to everything else going on. But in his chart, he has major issues with partnerships and sensitivity, and this goes back to the mother figure. And that left him very much alone or feeling somewhat abandoned. But with the numbers that he has, it made his ego, his self-esteem, be a karmic accumulation number where he never felt he ever got his due. So he would always go to the morbid side of things because nothing ever seemed to flourish and go forward.
Well, yeah, and if you look at his life, it was on the tragic side, where he didn't really get noticed for his brilliant writing, except for The Raven did get some attention, but I think he was only paid $9 or something for that, some crazy, silly amount, but it was after he died that he achieved much more fame.
And there was never a love for him. He was always searching for a relationship of some sort, and it never happened. His destiny said he was supposed to be the team player and a partner with a female, and there was nothing ever in anything we've seen about him that brought this to light. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yes, and here he was, such an enormous talent, but he died very young. He died at 40.
Yes, he was very young.
Incredible. And one
Didn't
of the
he
fathers...
have a child bride? Am I mistaken that he had a child bride that passed or something?
He did. His wife, he married his cousin or something when she was 13.
Right.
But she did die of, I forget what it was, consumption or tuberculosis or something horrible like that.
But he never had a real relationship with anyone. Take a look at her age. It was like bringing in the child as opposed to a woman.
And Samantha just tweeted to us, and she said that actually was supposed to be the love of his life, so that when she died, it was so devastating to him. Again, and he died young, too. 40 was young even then.
Oh, definitely. But I find it very fascinating that when we take a look at it, his macabre writings and such, that he would have the love of his life as a 13-year-old. That in itself is not exactly what we'd call norm on today's standards either.
It probably wouldn't wash today.
No, I think they would.
No, but back then it went on a lot, I think. Yeah.
Well, the childlike, I think much of that was arranged. It wasn't by the love of my life. It was, this is who you'll have, this is what you'll do. Or the purchasing of, I hate to say purchasing, but many times it was, the trade. Yeah. Wow.
Well, what a talent he was, and it's in his death there was much mystery. They said that he was found on the street, not making much sense, and not wearing his own clothes, and he died 4 days later at the hospital, but there wasn't a real clear understanding of what happened to him, so there was a lot of mystery there. Who knows?
He was considered more than strange or unique in his way of, and what came out of his fantasy, I think, made it even more difficult for him because he just never knew how he fit or where he fit. And the first vowel, first consonant in a name, we always look at that for the strength of what happens. In his chart, that's also a 9.
Oh, my goodness.
So I found it very fast. But he was an extremely intelligent fellow, extremely intelligent.
Yeah, and he had to be to, oh my goodness, to write the way he did. He was an amazing writer.
Well,
he was, but wasn't he also a drug addict? He must have had some kind of mental illness.
That was not true about him. He was not a drug
addict.
Not true. But, no, but it was one of the rumors that was circulating, especially after his death. But yeah, from what I read, he wasn't a drug addict, but he did have his other problems. So
but he did live in fantasy so much. That had a lot to do with it. That's probably where he came across to others that. But he never gave the impression that he was should we say totally put together?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that gave the allure.
Lost his parents so young. I guess his father left and his mother died when he was very young. So that's very traumatic for sure for anybody in any era.
Well, and he'd always been looking for someone to love him, his sensitive side. He was always abandoned in his mind's eye. He was left. The father figure gone, but the mother, all he ever wanted was someone to truly love him. And yet he would choose a 13-year-old that, what does a 13-year-old really know about love, especially in that point in time where they were not given any, shall we say, instructions or opportunities to learn?
Yeah, exactly. So he experienced abandonment over and over again, and but at the same time, an enormous literary talent that Lon is going to talk to us about in just a couple minutes. So, Patricia, thank you so much for taking a look at all of that. It's fascinating. Now, tomorrow is the 23. What do we have to look forward to tomorrow?
Well, we're still in retrograde for another couple of days. But the thing, tomorrow is a 4 universal day and an 8 universal month. 8s and 4s are always karmic. So look for some things to be popping out of the woodwork that was not expected or to be costly or expensive in some way. And if you've got $10 in your pocket, it could be that it takes $8 of your change. But there's going to be some issues that have to be dealt with because this month is all about finances. And tomorrow is all about the lack of or fear of not having enough. Even if you've got it, you're going to fear you don't have enough. So people are going to be rather uptight, very short with one another, and I'll use the phrase I'm very partial to, very fault-finding, and I'll let the other word go.
Oh, boy. All right, well, we are now informed, so we know what is coming energetically, and we can make our choices, wise ones, I hope. So, Patricia, thank you so much again for wonderful insight, and we will talk to you again next week. So stay tuned, Patricia, for a wonderful show, and we are going to introduce our fabulous guest, our dear friend, Lon Milo DuQuette, who is a best-selling author and lecturer on such topics as magic, tarot, and the Western mystery traditions. He is currently U.S. Deputy Grand Master of Ordo Templi Orientis, and he's on the faculty of the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. I'm impressed. I don't know many people on the faculty, so I'm impressed. He lives in Costa Mesa, California, with his beautiful wife, Constance, who never grows old, and I have yet to figure out her secret. So, Lon, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me back.
Always a pleasure. So you've got this great book, Horror and the Occult. You've got to tell us, how did this come to be? This is a wonderful book. Scary as all bejesus. I mean, it is really a deeply scary book.
Well, first of all, I didn't write it. Okay, I penned the introduction and I edited it and I curated it. But it's a collection, an anthology of the classic authors of the genre of horror. So it's the subtitle kind of tells you the whole thing: hidden magic, occult truths, and the stories that started it all. And so that's what it is. It's something to curl up with as you go to bed at night.
Oh, I don't know.
Try to go to sleep after reading. It's wonderful, though. I mean, you say you didn't write it, but, your introduction is just terrific, and then the little
amazing
commentaries that you have at the beginning of each segment. It's wonderful lawn writing. And, I was wondering if you could tell everybody, you had your own horror story when you were dragged to Nebraska.
That was amazing. That was probably the scariest part of the whole book.
It was frightening.
Yes, well, I wanted to at least share with everybody why I appreciate horror as much as I do and the way I do it. And my first introduction came when I was about 8 years old in Nebraska. And I was born in Southern California in 1948. Southern California in 1950, 51, 52, 53 was a wonderful happening place. Rock and roll was just being sort of born then. Television was starting to be in everybody's house, and a great deal of the television programs and stuff came right just down the street from me in L.A. And my dad took my older brother and I to the beach all the time, and the surfing was starting. The California was paradise, and a little kid like me knew it. I just loved it, and I was happy. And my brother, being 6 years older than I, was like a hip older influence. So he fed the cultural pulse to me, even as a little kid. And so I was absolutely terrified the day my father announced that we're packing up and we're moving to Nebraska.
Oh, God.
And I had visited Nebraska on 2 vacations because my mother's relatives lived there, and I hated it.
Ooh.
It was there was like outdoor plumbing. I mean, not outdoor. There was no indoor plumbing. Okay.
Oh, my
places,
goodness.
Yeah, a lot of houses didn't even have telephones, and those that did, they had those crank telephones on the wall.
Yeah.
And nobody had a television, and of my mother's relatives, and it was just like going to a wasteland. And then to be told that I'm going to move there and grow up there, I was so bummed out. And so we moved to a very, very nice place in eastern Nebraska, where it's not as stark prairie exactly as in western Nebraska, where my mother's relatives were. But to me, it was like a trip back into the Middle Ages. And I was truly bummed out. You know how kids can pout.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was looking at 10 years of pouting.
Oh, no.
and I didn't like it. And even the stuff I could like, I made up my mind not to like it. and it was hot, and there was no air conditioning. And we did have a television, but there weren't any television channels broadcasting. And,
boy.
And we had to literally put up a tower in our backyard to stick up the aerial to try to pull in some kind of signal of intelligence and civilization. And we hardly ever could do that. And one morning, my mom had a job at a dress shop, and my father drilled water wells. So one summer morning, hot, sweltering summer morning, I just laid in bed and sweated and just sort of watched the curtains blow in and out of my room. And I got up and I wanted to get something on the television, and I couldn't pull in anything but like a scratchy old farm report. And so I turned the television on, and then in my introduction, I said I did something unthinkable for an 8-year-old boy. I found something to read.
That is unthinkable. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I my dad had a little collection of the world's greatest literature, kind of a thing that you'd buy from Reader's Digest or something. And one of the books was the Tales of Mystery and Imagination of Edgar Allan Poe. And I flipped that open, and the table of contents looked very, very intriguing. The Telltale Heart, Mask of the Red Death, The Pit and the Pendulum, and they were all pretty short. You know, I looked and I said, well, you know, I could probably read one of these in just a few minutes, and so I settled back with that. I got myself a glass of buttermilk, and I like buttermilk. Okay. That was like my brandy. And I sat down in front of an open window and let that curtain blow in and try to bring me a little coolness. And I started reading The Pit and the Pendulum. And I had heard about Edgar Allan Poe because I saw a terrifying cartoon when I was still in California of the Telltale Heart, and I saw it at a movie theater with my brother, and my mother had bawled my brother out for taking me to see that adult and frightening thing.
Uh-oh.
So I knew if my mother was mad at it, it must be good.
Right.
That still goes on today, Lon, you know.
So I sat down and I realized I was kind of out of my depth because there are epigrams and sometimes they're in French or Greek or Latin, and he makes references to things that countries I've never been in, and cities and literature I've never read, and so in order to wade through it, I had to get out the World Book Encyclopedia, and I had to use the dictionary. So it made about a 10-minute story. It took me about 3.5 hours. Okay.
That takes up a day. There you go.
Yeah.
But I had nothing else to do. Okay. And by the time I was through with it, I probably comprehended, you know, maybe an eighth of it. But it was enough to completely blow my mind and mutate my DNA.
My goodness.
I felt like I was a different person. I truly felt mutated. I was proud of myself because I could use the dictionary and the encyclopedia. That was a pretty grown-up feeling. Excuse me, I'm going to take a little sip of this stuff here.
Buttermilk or brandy?
No, it's coconut water, actually.
Oh, wow, it's so healthy. It's the good stuff.
Yeah, it's the good stuff. So, what really happened was I had absolutely fallen in love with the genre of horror, and I was in the absolutely perfect environment to appreciate it. This was written in the late 1800s, mid to late 1800s, okay? Nebraska in 1957 could have been Nebraska in 1857. There were no airplanes going by to make noise. There was no sound of freeways. There was just this deafening silence, so silent that you could hear the blood rushing through your brain. What sounds you did hear was a distant train whistle, or the cawing of a crow, or the barking of a dog. And the whole atmosphere was one that required you to lower your blood pressure, to slow down your heart, to get into the rhythm of your own breath. And as you're doing that, I was reading English, so eloquent, something I'd never been exposed to, such elegant sweetness of language. And I sort of got into the groove. And I, of course, was terrified, and I realized that I was identifying with the protagonist. I was identifying with Poe's character, and I volunteered to be drawn into a nightmare. And it was such an artfully composed and elegant nightmare that it was worth the terror. And when I was through reading it, not only did I realize that Poe's narrative voice in the story was my narrative voice, and then I realized for the first time that my life, my consciousness, has a narrative voice of its own. I became aware that I was aware. Does that make any sense?
It does.
I became aware that I had a story that was going on in myself, and all of a sudden my whole life changed. I had a narrative voice of my own, just like I was the soundtrack of one of these film noir detective stories, you know. I did this, and she threw out a thing, and I saw that, and then the guy came up, and all of a sudden, everything that I was doing, I reached for another glass of buttermilk, and I knocked it back, And but does that make sense?
It
and then
does.
I was hooked.
Yes.
It's almost like the silence brought it to you.
Yeah.
And so I bless the nightmarish silence, solitude, and even the terrifying fear of Nebraska, because it allowed me the space to appreciate this wonderful genre of literature.
And it is wonderful, and it's so intriguing. This entire book is filled with the stories have such depth, and the writing is so profound. It's so different from the writing generally today. And it was delightful. I mean, it's a delightful book. Again, I think everybody should get it and read it on Halloween to each other.
Oh, yes.
It's just a perfect book for this, or any time to have a deeper appreciation of these literary giants who oftentimes didn't get recognized during their lifetimes, like Edgar Allan Poe.
Right. So, and the title of my introduction was "Horror Takes Its Time," and it makes you take your time too. But it's worth it. It like peels back your jangled everyday consciousness, and I liken it to a horror today. When you go to a so-called horror movie today, it's just non-stop, one shock after another, one explosive thing, one splattering of blood here, one loud noise here, one screech and scream and yick and stuff. That's like junk food.
Mm-hmm.
That's like Twinkie literature.
It is.
You get yourself a little jolt of junk food, sugar, horror, and it's fun for a second, and then you crash. Just and you need another one a little bit more shocking, and it all leads absolutely nowhere. But
that's true.
But horror is like a gourmet 12-course dinner.
Wow.
that literally you're going to need 5 hours to enjoy this.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, is it going to be worth it, because it's going to actually help you evolve. It's going to enrich you. It's going to nourish you. It's going to make you feel things that you didn't even know that you had the senses to feel. It even the frightening part of it is forcing you in a very safe way to face terribly dark things that, quite frankly, most of us need to face those things now and again.
That's right. And this is a very safe way to do it.
So that's that. And I got to choose some of my favorite authors, and some of them nobody has ever heard of, and they are actually the people that invented the genre, like Robert W. Chambers. Nobody's heard of Robert W. Chambers, but I mean, if it wasn't for Robert W. Chambers, there would have been nothing for H.P. Lovecraft to to be inspired by.
Right. And then the person who actually came up with It Was a Dark and Stormy Night.
Yes. Yeah.
That was. Go ahead. That was fun.
That was Edward Bulwer-Lytton.
Yes.
The guy that wrote Zanoni. He's credited with being the father of science fiction as well as the father of horror.
And also in your in writing about him, you mentioned that he actually was quite enlightened, and wasn't he someone that was affiliated with some of the secret societies? Yes,
he was a Continental Rosicrucian, an Englishman, but he was in France. He was friends of Eliphas Levi, or Alphonse Louis Constant was his real name, and he was a member of various Kabbalistic and what we would generically call Rosicrucian organizations in the mid to late 1800s. And his book Zanoni is it's not even a thinly disguised revelation of occult principles of the highest order. And so his book Zanoni just absolutely reveals Bulwer-Lytton as a high initiate and a very, very wise individual. He was an adept, literally an adept.
He was. Oh my. So, is he one? Who's your favorite? Is he one of your favorites? I know you said all of these people you handpicked in terms of what stories you wanted to showcase. And
well, how can I pick between favorites between Edgar Allan Poe, H.P. Lovecraft?
I know. It's impossible.
I've got a story in there by Aleister Crowley, not so much that it was a great horror story so much, but that Crowley himself was a great horror story.
Well, that brings us to the question we had at the beginning of the show, and we were talking with Patricia Kirkman about that number, which people call the mark of the beast or whatever, 666. And our question to Patricia, we're going to ask you, when did the number 666 take on this type of dark attitude? Because as Patricia was sharing with us, it's not a dark number. So when did that change?
No, certainly not. It makes its first infamous appearance in the book of the Revelation of John, the last book of the New Testament, which is a visionary work that written in a Kabbalistic manner that is most understandable to other Kabbalistic mystics. I don't think it was ever meant to be published, for people normal people to go, what the hell is this talking about? Let's try to exploit it somehow. But the idea was that he was talking about an apocalyptic event that that John had to write about it in a very veiled way, or he was going to get himself arrested by Nero. And and so even today, poets and stuff in countries that have oppressive governments, they have to write their poetry in a little bit of veiled language, But everybody, all their contemporaries know exactly what they're talking about. Well, John was writing for people that knew exactly what he was talking about, and he just, I'm sure he never expected it to be, debated 2,000 years later. But anyway, he was talking about the various political intrigues that were going to bring an end to at the time, the Palestinian occupation by the Romans, and the Romans completely genociding the Jewish population and dispersing them. Yeah, I mean, it was big, momentous cultural events that were unfolding right at the time, around 70 A.D. And so some of the villains in his extended poem here were the representative of Rome and Rome's power, and Caesar and various people in Judea that were collaborators, and so there was the beast, and there were other characters, and a dragon, and several kinds of beasts, one that come out of the ocean and one with all of these horns and stuff like that. But the beast that is joined by Babylon the Great Whore, which is Rome herself, he said, count well its name, because it's the number of a man. And it's been translated for a couple thousand years almost as 666. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that gave 666 a bad name. Okay. Mm-hmm. But they've recently, in the last 10 years, have discovered the oldest document of oldest printed manuscript, a contemporary manuscript of the Book of the Revelation of John, and it wasn't 666; it was 616, which enumerates to the when you transpose letters with into numbers, which the Greeks did, and it was written in Greek. The word God Caesar adds up to 616, and the word God Caesar was stamped on every one of the coins of the day. So it was the count well its name. It's the number of a man, Caesar, Nero Caesar, and so technically, historically, that's what it's about. Why it got turned to 666, I think, is a little more mysterious and a little more sinister, in so much as 666 is the Kabbalistic number of the sun. In Kabbalah, the sphere of the sun is number 6 on the tree of life. And if you make a square, a magic square, 6 by 6, a grid 6 by 6, and you put the 36 numbers 1 through 36 in the grid, and you arrange the grid so that when you count them horizontally, vertically, and one diagonally, each line adds up to the same number, and that same number is 111, which is the the number of the Hebrew letter 1, or Aleph. and so you can see that the sun that we see, the sphere of the sun, whose number is 6, is really sort of a metaphor for God, the singularity that is God. It's a wonderful thing. So that when you're looking at the sun, you're looking at a symbol of God. In the same way that Jesus, that John was talking about, says, when you look at me, you're looking at the Father. Is this starting to make sense?
Yes.
And so somewhere along the line, somebody made the decision to say, we don't like that message. We don't like this identity with the sun, because the Romans were sun worshippers, and we don't want to be confused with the Romans. So let's turn that 616 into 666 and get everybody mad. That's the central message of Christianity. Okay, it's kind of a very Kabbalistically sinister little sleight of hand, but that happens. So 666 is actually a gloriously wonderful, holy, sacred number, and for somebody to make the concerted effort to blaspheme it or turn it into an evil number is pretty damn evil.
It is evil.
Yeah. So
well, that's very scary right there. That here's this beautiful number symbolic of the sun and spirit that gets turned into something that we should fear.
Yeah. So but
we had to clear that up because it was
oh, I know, and you shouldn't have mentioned it to me, because then I get on my soapbox and tell you.
That's okay.
Don't ask me anything. I'll try to tell you.
No, this is great. It is a question. I know we've been asked this before about this number, so it's good to have your experience of the actual historical version of this and how it got twisted, as so many things do, but now we all know. So you heard it first, everybody, on Supernatural Girls. And also, I just wanted to mention one thing, and that is, please tweet about the show, and if you say something very fascinating, we will repeat it live on the show. And Samantha is live tweeting about the show right now, and we're going to keep talking about this great book with Milo DuQuette, and the book is Horror and the Occult. It's actually called The Wiser Book of Horror and the Occult. And it's terrific. If you want to introduce yourself and your children and your friends to some great writing, this is the book to do it with, in my opinion. It's fantastic writing. And they have a story here written by Bram Stoker, who, as you talk about in the book, everybody knows from Dracula. But I love the story you picked that was written by him. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Well, with that, we don't want to spoil stuff for people, but it's called The Dream of the Red Hand. Okay, and the bottom line is Bram Stoker is more than Dracula. He means more to the world of literature than just Dracula. And we've got a very good example. It's really short. It's like less than 10 pages, but it's the Dream of the Red Hands. And we have to. What's interesting to me is Bram Stoker was reputed to have been a member of the Golden Dawn, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Now, there's nothing we don't see his name listed on any official rolls or anything else. So we can't say without or with any certainty that he belonged to the Golden Dawn. But he and Arthur Conan Doyle both were having dinner every night with the members of the Golden Dawn, and they were
a little suspicious.
They were really close, and that was a golden moment in I don't want to label everything as hermetic or magical or whatever, but it really was a golden moment, especially for those brilliant writers who wrote in the English language. It was a moment when it seemed like consciousnesses were expanding, and the genre of horror and the pace and the rhythm of horror seemed to be forming. You know, they say that jazz started with, or modern jazz started with Alexander's Ragtime Band. Okay, it's an early song by Irving Berlin. I mean, Irving Berlin was just a baby almost when he wrote this song. But it's the one where people bands that were starting to experiment with this new type of music had to go, okay, no, wait a second, you guys. This is a 4/4 time, but we should actually make it 16/16, and we put the emphasis on the seventh beat or something like that, and then every third one we swing it around, turn it around. They literally had to say, this is the new rhythm. This is the new breath of this art form, and we have to learn it. Both Arthur Conan Doyle with his Sherlock Holmes, Bram Stoker with what we're mostly familiar with as Dracula, but this bonbon, this tasty little Dream of Red Hands, is giving this downbeat, this new downbeat to the literary world. And to me, the most fascinating thing about the story isn't the story itself, but the story of the story itself. So and of course, it scares the living daylights out of you.
It really did, but it was one of my favorites in the book.
Yeah.
I just love that story, and it was so full of passion and purpose.
Well, doesn't it make you? When I was through reading it, it made me appreciate Dracula more. Oh, gee, I love Dracula now. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great story, and again, all of these stories so well constructed, so well written. I mean, you've really, I think, done a great service with Red Wheel Weiser in bringing this book to fruition, because it is incredible writing. I mean, when I was reading these stories that you chose, I felt like I was looking at a painting by a master. It was just, there's so much to it. And you're right, it brings you in, it makes you think. It's not the junk food that we are so unfortunately used to.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, it was a super privilege to be part of the project, because it was my way to give not only recognition but true heartfelt thanks to many dead authors.
The dead guys.
When it gets spooky, it was my way of digging up a bunch of dead authors and say thank you so very much. Now, this Robert W. Chambers, I had never heard of this guy. And about 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, somebody wrote me, and a filmmaker wrote me and said that he was making a film of the King in Yellow, and that he was asking various writers and occultists, kind of known occultists, to see if they would be willing to, just for fun, appear in cameo roles in the film. And I'd never heard of the King in Yellow, but you know me. If someone's going to offer me a cameo role in most any legal movie, I'm going to say, hell yes, any publicity is good publicity. And so I said, yeah, sure. Just let me know. And, of course, you know as well as any, film projects seldom actually manifest, and this one never manifest. This one never manifested either. But in the meantime, I thought, well, if I may appear in this thing, I better know what the King in Yellow is. And I looked up the King in Yellow, and I couldn't even find one that was in print. I had to get it off of Gutenberg and read it online. And come to find out, this was the guy that 20-some years before H.P. Lovecraft started writing, this guy wrote like he was like the proto H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, my.
This guy took the art form into alternate realities. Not only the psychological or fantastic nonfiction of say Poe. This actually took it into an alternate reality, and one of the stories in The King in Yellow takes place in the future, in the United States, but the future is 1922. And the United States had, since the Civil War, developed into sort of a pleasant military dictatorship.
Oh, gosh.
And the story starts to take place within this alternate reality, a future which to us is the past, of an alternate reality that we know never happened, and all of a sudden it is pulling you out of your brain and totally screwing with space-time, and then with such beauty and eloquence. I mean, the guy, he writes like a poet, and it's just delicate and dainty, and but it is so good. And then add on top of that the elements of natural horror. And you've got... He
sounds like he was the Rod Serling of his time.
Absolutely. What is it? Night gallery kind of thing. Twilight Zone kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like what he did.
Yeah. He truly was. And this King in Yellow, it's just a collect. And this is even weird. The King in Yellow isn't just one story. It's 6 or 7 stories, and the only thing that connects them is this King in Yellow, which is a book or a play. Either one, you never know for sure. But anyone who reads it goes insane. Okay.
Wow.
And so all of a sudden, when it dawns on you that's what it is, then this subject, this noun within all of these stories is in itself grotesquely horrible. Even the thought of it coming into contact with a character that you love or have learned to care about, it's just absolutely brilliant. And so he wrote The King in Yellow, which got H.P. Lovecraft completely inspired. And then this Chambers, he just stopped writing horror and he started writing sort of romance serials for women's magazines. And he spent the rest of his life being an incredibly successful light fiction writer.
Incredible.
It's almost scary in itself. That's what
scary.
He did with his life. Yeah.
I mean, what a talent, though, to be able to cross so many genres and do them all successfully. That's really unusual.
Yeah. He was also a painter. Classically trained painter in oils, and you can tell that he paints every paragraph as if it was just exquisitely drawn. So, and how many other authors do you get that will give you that kind of a reading experience?
Exactly. I mean, it's so inspiring to read these earlier texts from these people that, again, had so much talent, and so many of them were not even recognized at all while they were alive. But we're going to get back to all of this and the paranormal lives these people had. So just everybody stay tuned, and if you have a question for Lon, you can call in at 646-478-0828. That number again is 646-478-0828. And we did have a question. A caller has a message here. He wants to know, Lon, how to find your website. So you are at LonMiloDuQuette.com?
No, just LonDuQuette.com. We'll do
Lon DuQuette. Okay, that's DuQuette.com. And so that's the answer to that question. And we will be back in just a minute after this very short commercial break to talk about all these spooky writers, spooky stories. Stay tuned, everybody.
Ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with Cosmic Fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the Source. With Cosmic Fusion, the Source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.KOSMICfusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
Bonjour, this is Veronique Raskin, founder of the Organic Wine Company. As one of the pioneers of the Organic Wine movement, since 1980, I have brought you the very best and most authentic organic wines directly to your table. I work with small family estates who grow certified organic grapes and produce exceptional wines. You can purchase our wines individually from our website at theorganicwinecompany.com or join one of our wine clubs. Our organic wines are perfect for you and for your family as gifts for friends and relatives, and they are simply spectacular for the holidays. Visit us at theorganicwinecompany.com to enjoy the very best organic wines conveniently delivered to your door. I am Veronique Raskin, passionate about my mission. I offer to you vegan, organic, and biodynamic wines, wines made by people of the heart, wines with a heart. Au revoir. Call us at 1-888-ECO-WINE.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Milo DuQuette, who is, well, I'm sorry, Lon, I'm going to call you the author anyways.
Okay.
The author, editor of a new book, The Wiser Book of Horror and the Occult. And this book is great. I mean, if you want to get a spooky book to read on Halloween, to snuggle up by the fire and read this aloud or read it just to yourself, this is the one to get. It is terrific. So some of these authors that you chose to write about in the book, they've had their own paranormal experiences, I'm sure. So do you think any of these stories are based somewhat on fact, on something that might have actually happened to these writers?
Well, I've got to think that if it came out of the imagination, it is real on one level or another.
Mm-hmm.
And so we pretty much know, because everybody would like to think that H.P. Lovecraft belonged to some cult of starry wisdom himself, but there's no evidence to say that he was a practicing occultist. And as a matter of fact, what evidence there is points to the likelihood that this was just part of his fabulous imagination. Arthur Conan Doyle, although he hung out with people of the Golden Dawn, he probably wasn't an official Golden Dawn member, but Arthur Conan Doyle was completely obsessed with spiritism. He wanted to talk to the dead. He naively endorsed the visions of these girls, I believe is in Scotland, or who said that they saw fairies and took photographs of them. And the photographs today, then when we look at them, we go, "Oh, that's not even Photoshopped. This is really corny. They just cut and pasted fairies and posed with them." And Arthur Conan Doyle, who he wanted to believe so badly that he endorsed it and said, "No, these are real pictures of real fairies." But Bulwer Lytton, yes. and the story of Bulwer Lytton and Zanoni, which is what he's most famous for, points to a person that's had real mystical experiences, real encounters with at least the levels of consciousness whereby apparitions, angels, communication with seemingly outside entities. The Zanoni story could really be viewed as a beautiful discussion of what Aleister Crowley and modern Hermetic magicians call the Holy Guardian Angel. So
do you feel that he was also giving information that, again, had to be hidden in certain ways? Did any of his material put forth secret things that we want to know?
I think it all does.
Now?
Yeah. No, I know that's kind of a flippant thing to say. But look at it this way. The mechanics of consciousness is what it is. And anyone of any background, of any cultural background, spiritual background, economic background, family background, anybody becoming more and more in touch with the mechanics of consciousness are going to come to similar conclusions. They're going to be revealed similar secrets, because these so-called secrets aren't really secrets. They're just, in a way, concealed facts of life. And
I like
people that unveil facts of life, certain facts of life that are seemingly hidden to other people. They don't have to be writers, but if they are, they write about it, and the very similar things are revealed in very similar ways. Every artist is a magician. Every artist is a person that, for one reason or another, are peeling back these hidden layers of the mechanics of consciousness. And each artist communicates that in their own particular way. A painter will exhibit it in one way. An ecstatic dancer will exhibit it in another way. A sculptor will exhibit it in another way. But writers are joined with one another by the common denominator of words and language. And so when each of them gets something, under some circumstances, revealed to them about the nature of consciousness, about the nature of being, it only follows that what they write about will have certain similarities, and those similarities will give to an outside observer the illusion that these guys went to the same school together, that they're in cahoots. They're in cahoots. They've been hanging out at the same Turkish bath, when in a sense it's just a simple matter of truth being truth, and if you're getting ready to talk about a truth that you've discovered, if you're using the same language, hey, one's going to sound pretty much like the other one.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. That really does. And what I like about what you just shared with all of us tonight is that anybody can get to the actual truth if they want to.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's what we're here for.
So we're going to get to it. The bottom line.
Bottom line, we're going to get to it. When, like a quantum physicist, when you pull space-time out of the equation, we've already gotten it.
And with these wonderful stories, Lon, I mean, you said something at the beginning of the show that was so intriguing about how reading these stories, immersing ourselves in these stories, can actually assist us in our own enlightenment because it makes us face things. Can you share more about that? I loved what you said.
Well, it's true in the same way that we're moved, we're enriched, we grow when we come in contact with great art. We just do. I mean, we're different people. The first time you can actually sit through a Shakespeare play and follow it, you are literally a different person than you were when you walked into the theater. You've been moved. You've been mutated. You've
been transformed.
Yeah, truly, you're one step closer to being an angel than a human after getting that. It works that way. You think different, and when I said it mutated my DNA, I really think it's true. There's no way I can prove that, of course, but
But it sounds like it was a total transformation. I mean, that what you went through when you read that first group of stories, and again, I think that's a wonderful way to talk about this because so many people that may feel horror is all of these horror stories are like junk food, but they're not. These are so deep, so profound, and it's so moving in so many ways. And you're right. I mean, after I read that story by Bram Stoker, I felt transformed. It was the shortest one in the book, but yeah. I was definitely transformed by reading that.
And I've included bits by Ambrose Bierce. Okay, Ambrose Bierce is mostly noted for he's like an American Oscar Wilde, sort of, only not a dandy, but he's a great wit, and he wrote things that most people are familiar with, The Devil's Dictionary, which is just an absolute scream. The guy he's like a combination of Mark Twain and Oscar Wilde. He's just really, really funny guy. But he and Chambers were pals. And the thing that I include with from Ambrose Bierce deals with this inhabitant of Carcosa, and Carcosa is this mysterious, mythical kingdom that Robert Chambers writes about. And so each of these guys, it seems like they could have had the same psychiatrist. I mean, they were bumping into each other all over the place, and so I stuck him in there too, because he belongs there, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, it's almost like they had, their own secret society going on. That, you're just revealing it in this book and saying that they were all friends and pals. And then, of course, we have Crowley, who we definitely have to talk about. I mean, Crowley.
Yes.
I don't know if do you know this, Lon? You probably do, but in the television series Supernatural on the CW network, they have a character in the show, and they have named him Crowley, and he is the king of hell. And he is one of the best characters. He's funny, and he's totally the king of hell. I mean, you look at him, you feel like you're looking at the king of hell, and but it's I think a very great tribute to Crowley in a lot of ways.
He would just love it.
Wouldn't he love it? He would.
He would just absolutely love it. Yeah.
He would, indeed. So you have a story in here written about him, which I didn't even know he wrote these kinds of stories. So, again, you've expanded our minds here. But tell us more about this character.
Well, Crowley wrote mostly, he was a poet. Okay, he probably wrote more poetry, more words of poetry than anything else in his 72 years. But and some of his poetry is really good, and some of it I haven't learned to appreciate yet.
How diplomatic.
I guess I'm not good enough to appreciate some of his poetry, but some of it I really, really enjoy too. But he wrote mostly on the subject of magic. And first and foremost, I would say that Crowley was a holy man. Now, I don't mean a holy man. Okay, I mean a holy man. Now, holy men don't necessarily have to be nice guys. They don't necessarily have to be moral in the same sense that we would think that a normal good citizen should be. A holy man or a holy person is more like the American Indians view the term. Okay, the holy man sees the reality behind what we think is reality, and the holy man is not afraid to tell you what he sees. And that is sort of like what a prophet is too. A prophet doesn't have to be a nice guy or a saintly character of any kind. It just has to be a person in the right place at the right time that sees exactly what's going on in the culture or the religion or whatever, and they're not afraid to tell you what's going on. And so Crowley was a holy man. And in a sense, he's the classic holy man from the Eastern sense. He did study all sorts of religions and spiritual practices, but he put them to work for his own, for the benefit of his own willed self-evolution. And this willed self-evolution, he sort of, he said, defined willed self-evolution as being initiation, self-initiation. And that doesn't mean joining one club after another. It literally means progressively waking up. And the final big wake up is where you realize you are absolutely one. You are one and the same with the Supreme Consciousness. It's not an unscientific theory or idea. We could look at it right now like all of us are pretty much asleep to the greater reality around us. Okay, we're pretty focused on I mean, we go outside and it looks like a flat Earth. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're not really even awake enough to keep remembering that we're on a ball that's spinning around.
That's true. I rarely think of that.
Yeah.
Do you, Helene?
No, you don't. Not in the course of busy days, no.
No.
So the busy dayness thing is comparable to being asleep. The Buddha said, I didn't go anywhere, I didn't do anything, I just woke up.
Right.
Okay? And Crowley, in his own way, was saying, that there are progressive steps in waking up, and I think if you put your mind to it, and you put your will to it, he saw this Kabbalistic tree of life as progressive steps in waking up, and so a lot of Crowley's writings concern this process and how strange old meat-eating Westerners can maybe put themselves on a program to maybe wake themselves up, and that was his program, and so a lot of his writings concerned that. Now, he was a wild and crazy Englishman. So the way he talked about waking himself up, is going to be different in application than how you and me are going to see waking ourselves up, and we have to kind of wade through a whole bunch of Crowleyness to translate how Crowley was waking up to how we're going to have to wake up. Okay, but the study, once you're into it, the study becomes worth the price of admission, because the man was absolutely brilliant and funny, and after a while you start to see the big, wonderful, beautiful, ecstatic joke yourself. And then so a lot of things that upset you about what Crowley was and what he did and stuff like that, all the stuff that upset you at the beginning of your acquaintanceship with Crowley, all of a sudden you go, oh, okay, I get that, you got me now, okay, but I see what you were getting at there. Excellent,
Yeah, well, it reminds me of what you said about your own narrative, that this experience you had with reading horror, it gave you your own narrative. And Crowley, it sounds like, had his own narrative. So
he did. He did have his own narrative, and once you sort of lock into what his narrative was and what that meant to him in his, particular screwed up little Englishman, Victorian Englishman life, then you can see it how it fits into your little screwed up American little life.
Yes, it probably fits pretty well, actually. And you've written books about Crowley, so let's tell people the names of those books in case they would like to read more.
Okay, probably the one that tackles Crowley's work head on the most is just called The Magic of Aleister Crowley. And the one that I would recommend second is a commentary on his Thoth tarot deck, and the book that he wrote to accompany the tarot deck called The Book of Thoth. And it's a very difficult read because he wrote it at the end of his life, and he was trying to explain absolutely everything in that book. And when Aleister Crowley tries to explain everything to you, it's going to get confusing. And so I tried to explain to myself what he was trying to say in the Book of Thoth, and I wrote a book called Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot. And that's probably, between those two books, you'll probably get a pretty good idea of the agonies and the ecstasies of studying Crowley.
Yeah, it's quite an undertaking, I'm sure. But I know your books are excellent, and I should mention you're the author of many, many books on the occult. They're all terrific. I've read them all. I highly recommend them all. All of your books are great. And now there is a woman here that you have a story by, correct? Let's see.
Yes.
let's hear about
They're
her.
not all. Well, who knows?
Not all
what they,
from the Good Old Boys Club. There's a lady in here.
There's a lady in here, and well, when you read it, it doesn't particularly strike you as being particularly dainty, but it is. And again, it's another a pretty short thing by Mary Freeman, and Mary Freeman, to write what she wrote in that. In the years that she wrote it, was a pretty brave thing for her to do, because a lot of women were writing under the pseudonyms, under a male pseudonym, and she just didn't particularly care. So
and
she
that
was
unusual then for the time.
And she was with us right up to. I mean, my mother could have met her, 'cause she was.
Wow.
She
died in 1930.
But she's got this thing going for her that Patricia, you introduced me to this, believe it or not.
I did.
Remember when I came to Massachusetts?
Yes.
And we visited a cool cemetery.
Yes.
And because there was a bit of like psychic activity around this very old cemetery, and there were Indians probably buried away from the consecrated ground and things like that. But it gave me, for the first time, because I've never been to Western Massachusetts in my life, and the countryside itself is a spirit. Okay, I didn't get it. Okay, all my life I've heard about the Pilgrims and the Puritans and Thanksgiving and the witch burnings and the crucible and and all of that, and I never got what the spirit of that part of the country was about. It only takes just a moment of quiet reflection in that countryside, in those forests, in those graveyards, for you to sense that this is a naturally bizarre spiritual area. Okay, you almost expect to see a Stonehenge pop up out of the ground and surround you. And Mary Freeman's stories. What makes her so absolutely wonderful is for the atmospherics. Is she's got this New England atmospherics down cold. I mean, it is so. I mean, you can taste it, you can feel it, you can smell it. It's thick in her writings, and I can see how a sensitive woman that is in tune with those atmospherics would tend to actually go, okay, let's take this to the supernatural level, because that's just where it's going to take you, because the natural level is just not big enough to hold that spirit.
I love it. I love that. That's great.
Yeah, you described that perfectly. Yeah.
That was great. Well, Lon, this has all gone by too fast again, but I know you're going to keep writing, so you're going to be back. Yes?
Oh, good. Yes. Yes, I'm going to keep writing. Right now I'm writing songs,
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up. Now, are you still on the Jimmy Kimmel list here? Where are you with this?
I'm out of over 12,000 songwriters that have entered the contest. I'm currently number 1. Wow!
Yippee! Now,
if we can hold that position until November 9th,
oh wow!
I'll have a real good shot of being on Jimmy Kimmel and having it's $25,000 and all sorts of other things. But in the last 10 years, not maybe the last 8 years, I've turned some of my attention to writing songs, and it's not like I've got my magic in my songs. My songs are my magic.
Oh, nice.
And,
now, how can people help you stay at number 1? What can we do?
Oh, gee. You can just go to your search engine and search Guitar Center, because it's the Guitar Center contest, the big nationwide chain of guitar centers. Guitar Center singer or songwriting contest. And just do that. It'll immediately take you there. And because I'm in first place, my little picture's on the front page.
That's great. And
just
then what do we do? Do we click on your videos or your songs to listen to them, and it keeps you there? Okay.
Yeah, just click on my first little video. All my videos are like around 4 minutes, and there's 5 of them. And if you just play them through and enjoy them, or not enjoy them, but continue to play through, that I don't care if you hate them. Just play them, okay? Promote for me, please.
Yes. Well, we will do that. So it's Guitar Center Songwriting Contest.
Yes.
Okay. Guitar Center Songwriting Contest, everybody. Go there and click on Lon's songs and help him stay at number 1, because you know what? We want our favorite supernatural guy on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes,
and you are so deserving of all the other wonderful gifts they're going to give you. So let's hold that consciousness for you, Lon. That's terrific that you've made it this far and you're already at number 1. We want to help you stay there.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, and I hope you like the music too. So.
I do. I know.
We do.
Played your songs on the air here in the past, and people have loved them. So definitely, everybody, Guitar. Say it again. Guitar
Center Songwriting
Contest. Okay. And again, the name of the book is The Wiser Book of Horror and the Occult, edited and introduced by Milo DuQuette, our favorite supernatural guy. So, Lon, thank you so much for taking your time to be with Helene and I and all our wonderful audience members tonight. Another great evening with you. Well spent.
Thank you. Now, I enjoy talking to you girls, you supernatural girls, more than anybody else. So I just feel like we're family.
We are. Now we got to get you out here to the spooky New England.
Yes.
Got to get you back here, so we'll work on that next.
Okay. Great.
All right. Well, thank you, Lon, and thank you, everybody. As we get closer to Halloween, stay spooky, and we'll be talking with you next week.
Oh, bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Patricia.
Good night, Helene.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with